Yeah.
And another question,
This is grainy.
it is grainy, is it?
Yeah.
It's the camera. What can I say? Sorry.
Is it
And
us? Is it us? Should we
No, I think it's ours. It never used to be like that. But
our picture used to be as nice looking as yours, and I don't know what's happening.
You sure that's not like a no Snapchat filter making us look old?
No.
Because I'm like,
I don't even have to do that.
why does that look grainy?
So in the current affair of, I don't want to call it Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter is not my thing, but you know, since George Floyd, the effect of the events that have followed, how's it? What's your opinion? What's your state of mind? What's your experience since that?
I think for me, it's been like, it was something I was conscious of before George Floyd, and thought about before George Floyd. So maybe, yeah, a couple of weeks before George Floyd, Sophie showed me, or tried to show me, the Ahmaud Arbery video. And I just couldn't watch it. Like, so for me, it just produces rage, like very Christian rage. So I think I had to take a step back in the beginning. It's good to see that it's been highlighted, and there's a lot more people talking about it and stuff is going on, and there's been some great things which have been started up. I just hope that for a lot of people who have got on it, it's not just performative. And by the time we get down to Christmas, that everyone's forgotten and it's come back to normal. Yeah. So I think emotionally, it did affect me. I think we'll probably talk about this more. My emotions don't go up and down a huge amount generally. So I'm pretty level. So I think, yeah, I've been dealing with it okay.
You know there's a question there, isn't it? You know there's a question there.
We're going to go there, man. We're going to go there. Let me write that down, actually. I'll give my pen out.
I'm pretty level. I was just like, that does not sound good. I think in terms for me and George Floyd, I'm really glad that now it seems to be we can have a conversation where with white people where you're not automatically dismissed. There's enough in the public consciousness to be like, do you know what? When they say this to me at work, or they talk about my hair all the time, or this or that, like it just makes me uncomfortable. And now people are more willing to understand that maybe there's a problem and you're not just imagining it. And like Jonathan, I just hope it's not. I think a lot of it probably is performative, but that's why it's on people and people who are allies to just keep our foot on the pedal.
It has been. I mean, for me personally, it has been. It's taken the wind out of me. It's always been there. I said from day one, from I was born, Juanita Stanislas, and they would call me in the doctor's surgery and think that they were waiting for a Spanish Polish girl. No, it's me. It's tonsillitis. You get me? Yeah. And it's always like, from I was a child, even in growing up our own children and having them kind of running and us saying, no, don't do that, don't do that. We don't want to upset the indigenous.
Yeah.
And even having to work that out of my system has been very exhausting. We're having to have conversations at work and in church, and people are on eggshells and stuff like that. So I'm quite tired, but I have enough in my tank to not let this die by Christmas. Do you know what I mean? So there's a fight. It's in reserve, but it has been exhausting first. I can't sit down. I can't take my breath. I'm just going to keep moving with it in my own personal life, in the way I liberate my own children, and the way I understand the issue of systemic racism for my husband as a black man is actually different than my experience. The whole shebang, understanding it in work, looking at structures, it's very tiring, but I've got enough in my tank to keep it moving. Yeah.
I mean, you just don't want to get me started on this topic, so I'm not going to say anything, you know what I'm saying? But thank you for your views on that. And I just want to say that we appreciate the time you're taking to be very frank and honest about your marriage journey. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter how long you've been married, it's how you've been married. Is that it? And you like that? Like that?
It's good because like when Curtis and I originally spoke, my thing was just like, I don't know if I've got anything to give to people. Like, I don't want to feel like I've come in at nearly 2 years and be like, so let me break down how you make your marriage work. I'm just like, no, we're at the beginning.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, you know what? You will do that. You will do that because I think we believe you've got so much to give. Because there are people on here that have been married an awful 5 or 10 years. And just listening to you and the fact that you are both sitting here in front of the camera is a testament of something great. So we are sitting here, however long we've been married, expecting to learn from you. That's the absolute truth, man. Believe that. Believe that.
We always leave this chair. People don't know when the camera goes off.
Yeah.
No matter who's sitting on the other side of the IG, we learn from them. So that's married, single, divorced, parents, whoever has an experience, even if it's about self-development, whatever. We come away full with gems. Do you know what I mean?
Always.
So don't underestimate the amount of learning that you've had. It's just not. Don't measure it in years. Measure it in experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, so you've been married 2 years now.
Just
2 years in October.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourselves. Tell us what you do. Oh, that's the first question. Yeah.
Okay. So my name's Sophie, and what do? I work for a charity, and I'm in charge of their volunteering department. So organising their volunteering opportunities, which mostly consist of planning trips for donors to go overseas and see the work we do and get involved with it. And my little side thing at the moment is just trying to investigate. I don't know if that's the word, but get into a passion that I've always had, which is kind of like presenting and talking to camera and doing that. So I'm finding little things to do in my spare time. So I do a film review show, and I'm part of a really great weekly panel show called Ethnically Speaking, where we talk about kind of like world issues, like current affairs, but from a Black point of view.
Where can we see that?
Female point of view.
Where can we see that?
So you can go to United Melanin Group on Instagram and on YouTube. Click on, and we've got like 7 episodes. We release an episode every week. Yeah, it's just something I really enjoy being a part of.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
She's got to get used to the whole promotion thing.
Yeah.
We're just trying to pin it now. But like, how the heck you spell melanin? Yes, we got it.
United Melanin Group. So if you type that in, it should start to come up. United Melanin, one word.
Okay. Lovely. Okay.
Yes. Brother, tell us about yourself as well.
So yeah, my name's Jonathan. I work as a pastor. So I've been the reason Sophie came to Leicester is because I was working in Leicester as a minister. So I've been here for like 5 years. I've been a pastor for, I guess I'm going into my 8th year now.
Okay.
Ministry.
So yeah, that's what I do, and I guess I'm a husband too.
Bro, you know what? You look too good to be a pastor, so I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're just sitting at home, but you can't look that good and be a pastor for 8 years. No way.
You're still standing, bro. Why, he's great.
It's the grace of God. No, it really is. It really is. It's the grace of God, but I think also, although we've had to get through some things, I think my marriage has helped my ministry.
Wow.
And that's definitely helped to make me a better pastor.
Hold it. Thank you.
I never heard that. I never heard that. So tell us, okay, so look, we know there's 2 versions to this, right? How you met. How you get together. Who was the most forward one? Who asked who? What happened? How did it happen? How did you get together?
I mean, do you want the long version or the short version?
The short one.
the short and truthful version.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start.
Okay, so it was a couple years ago. Our work kind of brought us together. So I was at an event promoting the charity that I work for at a place where he was like, there was a lot of pastors all together. So when I saw him, I was like, "Ooh, who's that walking across the car park?" And my friend was just like, "He's a pastor." Ooh. I was like, "Are you sure?" She was like, "It's a pastor event. Everyone's a pastor here." So I was just like, "He must come from the north," because I'm like, in the south, any pastor under the age of like 35, like I would know them because it's like in our age group.
Yeah.
So nothing really happened then. I think he just started coming to my workplace and we started seeing. No,
it was, so we didn't see each other. It was another event.
Another event where he was at, and I was promoting the charity. He was coming over every day, and I was thinking, okay, I think this guy is interested. And at the end of the week, I was just like, God, you know, if he asks for my number, I'll take that as a sign that I should give it to him. So he gave me my number, and I was just like, cool, okay. And we started talking. We went on a date, and I said to him on the date, you know,
no, I mean, you got.
Did I miss out a bit? I'm trying to give the condensed version.
I know, but you gotta give it. So we like started talking. I asked her on the date. She said yes. Then a week before the date, she was like, actually, I'm not sure I should go. I then, I guess, foolishly or wisely persuaded her to go. Then we went on the date.
Yeah.
During the date, well, do you want to say that part?
I said to him, you know, I feel like God is telling me to be with someone else, so this isn't going to go anywhere. And
Right.
like,
yeah. I was upset.
But you held it down really well. Like, because he said like earlier, like he's someone that keeps his emotions kind of internal, like his face, you cannot see what's going on when you see his face. Only now, like dating him and being married to him, I can remember his face and be like, he was seething mad. But because I didn't know him well, because it was a first date, he just looked like, oh, okay. Like, all right then.
All right. I'm going to catch you on the way home with the dark alley.
So after that now, he kind of went home. I went home. Bearing in mind, he was still living in the Midlands. He had come down all the way to London to come on this date. And I was just like, Jesus is telling me to be someone else. I need to be true to Jesus. Wow. And he was just like, which I still think is a good thing. At least I was willing to hold the conviction, because he's just like, you were crazy and you were misinterpreting. But I feel like it shows that if Jesus gave me a message, I was going to go for it.
I mean, my thing was, I'm not sure it was Jesus. But we kind of,
that's what he says.
We kind of got over that. And well, what then happened is, I guess we were talking on and off.
As friends.
But then I think I came to the place where I was like, you know what? I almost like I like Sophie so much that if I keep talking to her, I'm just gonna be one of those guys who ruins any potential for friendship, because I can't get it out of my head that, you know. So I kind of tried to move away in that sense. I actually got into a relationship. I was in that relationship for a little while, and then
I think just over a year.
No, probably longer than that.
Really longer? Okay.
Yeah.
So then I was still seeing him at this time, during that time, because he would be coming to my workplace. And when he would come to my workplace, like I shared an office with someone.
Seeing, like just seeing.
No, just so
seeing.
We would meet up.
Okay.
It wasn't like anything was going on.
No.
Yeah.
So
just like we would see each other.
Yeah. He would come to where I worked for meetings. And every time he would come, he's very gentlemanly. He would always come to my office, which I shared with someone, and be like, hey, you're right. So when he would come, sometimes we'd have a chit chat. And I think over that kind of year and a bit period, I was just kind of like, I said to my colleague, you know, I think I made a mistake on this one.
I wasn't reading Jesus properly, man.
God don't lie.
She was listening to the wrong spirit.
Yeah.
This is it.
The false prophet.
Yeah.
So we was coming up to another event where we were going to be together. Well, a lot of people, but we were both going to be there. My colleague said to me, what's going to happen? I went, nothing's going to happen. Like, he's with someone. It's not going to happen. We're just going to be friends. And she was just like, okay. So we went along to this event, and then I was sharing with the friends, and then we would all meet up as a group, like in the evenings, and just chat. And I think as the week went on, I'm just like, look, this guy comes round and is chatting with me and my friends, and he's coming with some people and we're chatting, but I really feel like there's still something there. So my friend was just like, what are you going to do, right? And I was like, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him that there's something there. So I called him one night after he left, and I said, I just wanted to chat to you. He was like, all right then. So we went to this chat, and I was like, you know, I don't think our relationship is platonic.
Which is just the, like...
He still gets upset because he's just like, that's the coward's way.
Yeah.
You couldn't even say you had feelings. You have to be like... So that's what I said to him. I don't think our relationship is platonic. Again, he was seething mad. And again, I couldn't tell.
But very quietly.
Quietly, again, I couldn't tell because he doesn't show nothing. So he was vexed. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I feel... And he was just like, now?
Wow.
And I think like the second time, she kind of damned me with she was kind of
twice, three.
No, well, she said to me, you know what? A lot of guys would have given up a long time ago, and I respect you for it, but it's still no.
Like, I always thought to be polite. Do you know what I mean? I always thought to be polite.
So that was the situation. So then she told me, I went through.
So he said after I came and spoke to him that night, he was just like, I can't process anything. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah. So
and I was just like, okay.
So that weekend, and maybe for the next week, I went through like just mental turmoil. And then it got resolved, but that's almost like this whole separate story.
Yeah, he asked three of his male friends, like his father, a mentor, and his friends. She's come back around. What do you think? Two of them were just like, she missed her chance, bro. You need to keep moving. Like, you're with someone, leave that alone. But it was really his dad. He passed away at the beginning of the year.
Oh no, hold on,
guys.
Sorry. Your
the
signal
connection.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it's really pixelated, and we got to get this.
Has it
We
got
don't want
any better? Has it got any better? Or
No.
But what we can do, we can dial you out and then dial you back in.
All right.
It might help.
Yeah, but hold the story though. Hold it.
No problem.
All right, try that and see.
We'll get you back in 1 second.
Guys, thank you for your patience. We just want a clearer screen. As I said, our camera looks like we're on Snapchat making us look 20 years older. We don't actually look 20 years older. Something's wrong with the camera today, man. It's making us look a little bit aged.
how's that?
Yeah?
A bit.
Is that better for you?
Are you better?
A little bit stroby, but we could.
It's better than before.
Is there anything? Can you see anything in your box, in your signal? If there's anything, kind of nothing.
No.
There's
Like, our signal's great. I mean, we can see you guys perfectly.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, Dan. I'll take that. Right. It's not us. I know you lot are saying it's not you. It's just that you guys look like really pixely, and we want your fresh, beautiful black faces to be clear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can people see us clearly in the comments? Just let us know.
Yeah. Just
Let me ask in the comments. Can you see the guys clearly? Cheers, Gary. I'll take that.
Someone's like, keep going. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's not us, is it?
It's not us. No.
No, you guys are good.
Let me check.
We have to shake the router or something.
No. We're good.
Oh man. Come on, we're gonna get this.
Their Wi-Fi.
It's a bit blurry.
Yeah.
And the story's so nice. The story was blurring up the thing. Or using
It should be getting better.
they are pixelated. It says tops of their head.
How about now?
Still the same. Are you on your Wi-Fi or on your 4G?
Oh no, it's gone. We'll call you back in. Stay. Oh, we're gonna do this, man. We're gonna do this.
It's life, man.
So we're clear. Okay, it's just making it clear. Sound is cleared though.
Yeah, we need thanks, Dan. We want to see their faces properly as well. But we're gonna give it a minute. Hopefully, it's a problem that they can solve easily. But we're talking to Sophie and Jonathan.
Yeah.
They're 2 years in, and you lot might be thinking, we want some gems like people who've been married for centuries, but we feel that you can learn at any level. Do you know what I mean? Any point in the journey. If you was a week married and you wanted to come on in here, we would say come in. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the human experience can be learned at all stages. We think that, so that's why we asked them to come back on. It looks like they're still sorting, but we are grateful for your presence and your continued support. There's people that we always see. You're going to have to pronounce the names for us. B_M_C.
Which one are you
M
talking about?
Bronsu. Yeah.
BMC.
Who else? We've got Briggs on here. We've got good old Gary on here. Nicole.
Gary.
Danielle. Gary Mack, man.
Oh, bro, what are you saying? Yeah.
You get me?
Genius. What's good?
Who else can we see here?
Reeds. D-Love. What's up? Yeah. Had a baby yet? Come on now.
Yeah, man.
Let's get it out.
I know Charles is trying to get that baby out by what you call it? What's the one when you touch the bottom of your foot? You manipulate the bottom of your foot.
No, I don't know about that one.
He does. He ain't done it, but he does.
That's not to get a baby.
Yeah, well, Charles thinks it is. So he's trying to get the baby out. So we wish you the best. Bringing the baby. Curly fries, Briggs. Lovely to have you. We're going to try and get Sophie back in now. Sophie and Jonathan back in. Kathleen, good to see you all, man. There she is. Let's try again.
Yes.
See what. Hey. Reflexology. That's what it is. Yeah.
What, to have a baby?
Yeah. We're back. Yes. Yeah. That's better. Lovely. So you were saying... Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Tell us where you stopped from. Continue in the story.
So I was saying that Jonathan had gone to speak to 3 people that he trusted in order to kind of get an opinion. 2 of them told him, bruv, move on, she's missed her chance. And the last one was his dad, who sadly passed away in January. But I think that's the person who gave him the most interesting advice.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Which time?
The first time with me.
Okay, so when I spoke, because I thought my big thing was I never wanted to be that guy who went from girl to girl kind of thing. So if I'm in a relationship, I'm not looking to break up with someone and then get with somebody else. Like, I just didn't want to be that guy. So I spoke to my friend. My friend was like, yeah, forget it. Spoke to my dad, and I expected my dad to be like, forget it. But he said something really interesting, and that he was like, don't stay in the relationship you're in just if it's only because you believe you're doing the right thing. Because he was kind of like, you may want to do the right thing, but doing the right thing in the long run may not be good for you or the person you're in a relationship with. Because if your heart's not in it, it's not going to work out long run. And when I and he said a couple of other things. He talked about other relationships he'd seen where he could tell that although they loved each other, the person wasn't the love of their life. And so he was saying, you got to make sure that you're in a relationship where that person is everything to you. I didn't want to hear that. So I went to get some advice from somebody else, because I'm like, that's a great thing. I'm not gonna do that. Got the advice from someone else. They told me what I wanted to hear. Came back to Sophie and said, Sophie, it's not happening. I'm gonna stay with my girlfriend. So moved on over the weekend, and then I was really proud that I'd overcome this challenge. So then I eventually told my then girlfriend, and I thought she was gonna be proud of me too.
Naive, bro.
Yeah. But then she went ballistic, and we like talked through it and whatever. And I was cool maybe until about 3 or 4 days later, so from the time I spoke to my dad about it, I'd not spoken to him really since. And we were at another event. We left the event, and I didn't call my dad at all for the 4 days, because I didn't want to hear what he had to say. So he called me and was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, I've decided that I'm not going to go down this road. I'm staying where I am." And again, he was like, "Don't do it just because you think it's the right thing to do. Like, you've got to be sure about this, and you really have to think it through and make sure you're making a decision which you're happy to live with. Like, if you had the choice, where would you choose?" And it was really, I don't know what it was about that second conversation, because I think, to be perfectly honest, from the beginning of even that relationship, if I had a choice between the two, I'd have always chosen Sophie. Always. But it was about, for me, doing the honorable thing. So I think my dad said what he said. And so then I went and I spoke to Sophie, and she can tell you about that because she loved that conversation.
Well, I'm going to keep it brief. So after that, he ended the relationship. He told me he did, and I was just very clear with him, because then I got afraid, because I was just like, look, I just want to be clear. I said that I like you, and I feel like you like me, but I don't want it. Well, I said this before we broke up. I don't want you to feel like you're going to break up and we're just going to be mad. And he was just like, no. We're just gonna.
No, it's not even that though.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even tell Sophie that I'd broken up with my girlfriend.
Yeah, you didn't at first.
So, because I didn't want it to be that thing. So we spoke on one day, and then I broke up with my girlfriend the same day actually after we spoke. And then she called me 2 days later to say what's going on because I've not heard from me. I was like, oh yeah, I broke up with my girlfriend. But again, I didn't want to be just broken up with my girlfriend. Here I am.
On to you, yeah.
And we were very clear. I think we spent some time just not talking, and then like a month or so not talking, and then started again to talk as dating and getting to know each other, and then eventually it became a relationship, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
You see, I think what it is, people, especially I suppose in the church bubble, people would look and see two good-looking people in the church public eye, and just think they came together by magic. They don't understand the process of how that happened. Do you know what I mean? And then that's what you get. So you get a lot of that. I would say, I don't want to use, I want to use a better word than envy, but it's kind of like healthy envy. Like, oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. But not understanding the process it took to get to even just dating, even just getting together. And I think I'm contemplating on the words of what your father said. Some wise words. I think it was words of maybe experience, life experience. They were rich words. Do you know what I mean? A foundation where it's like, listen, it's refreshing to hear that a father can speak to their son, which they should anyway, but it's few and far between at times, of such matters of the heart, where it's like, son, this matter of the heart is gonna take you to glory the rest of your days. You know what I mean? Do it right, and do it for the right reasons, not just for principle's sake. Do you know what I mean? Do it for the right reasons. The heart is evolved. That's an amazing dad you have there.
Yeah,
and definitely.
I think that was one of the things that really struck Jonathan. I think he said to me when he was like, do I stay or do I leave that relationship, was that he was, because of the age that he was at like a marrying age. He was like a single pastor. So, you know, they always want them to settle down. And because he had been with this person for a year, I think they just assumed that this is going to be the wife. So not only was he breaking up with her, he was literally breaking up with all the other people who had assumed that this was going to go forward, this was going to go ahead. And I think it was difficult for him, and it was even difficult for me when I was dating him and going to visit him at his church, because there were people that were friends and invested in the previous relationship that he had. So it wasn't easy, but I think for us, we always held together, that we knew that
it was the right thing.
Yeah.
I guess that decision wasn't just a decision about me. Like, I knew then and I knew now that if I'd have stayed in the relationship that I was in, I'd have been unhappy, but I'd have also made her unhappy.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have been as present as I needed to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think we would have been able to give her what she needed, what every woman deserves, and what every man deserves, 100% of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
100% of you. And I think that it would have been unfair. And I think when feelings are hurt, like, I think everyone, I'm assuming everyone on this call has been broken up with, or broken up with somebody. And sometimes when you've broken up, you're just like, no, maybe there's still something there or whatever. But it has to take two people to be there. And if one person doesn't want to be there, then it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, it's done.
How did I wanted to ask, sorry, Kat, how did it make you feel, Sophie, in that kind of waiting in the winds moment? Like, I know, but I don't know what's happening.
I was happy that I said something. I was happy that I had said something to him. It's funny because I was having a conversation with some people yesterday, and even when we did our marriage counselling, we were talking about relationships, and our counsellor said to us, you know, just be very clear. You can't steal a person. Unless you physically kidnap him, you can't steal a person. When someone's like, oh, you stole my man or whatever, not that I'm saying that's what anyone said, but that kind of mindset is like, you can't steal someone. People go willingly, they make a choice. They decide what it is that they want to do. And for me, in that sense, I have never been upset at past girlfriends have come out the woodwork for me and Jonathan were dating. Like, people were going after him still and whatever. And I never had a problem, because I'm back to people, shoot your shot. Like, if Jonathan wants to be with me, he will be with me. He will stay with me. Like, it's not going to matter that other people are coming at him. So for me, I shoot my shot, and for me, it worked out. So I don't know if that makes it seem like you should always do it, but for me, I don't have a problem in saying I have feelings for you, because I'm like, once I've said it, your decision is now what do you do, and everyone is free to make a decision. Like, once I'd said it to him, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, I never came back to him when he told me actually no. I was like, I respect that, because what I can do is say what I said and then leave you to do what you said. Yeah, and I let him make his decision, and then I disappeared until he called me and was just like, actually, can I speak to you? And I was like, okay then. So I felt like I did it in a respectful way, but I think it was always difficult for us at the beginning that in order for us to be together, someone else got hurt. And that was always a really horrible thing to see, because she didn't deserve that.
Well, and like, I guess having it happen to myself, like, you never want that to happen. And I think that's always the crazy thing about relationships, that like, it takes two of you to get together, but one person to break it up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't and if you're on the end of the breakup, it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how much you beg or what you want. It's done if they're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part which really cut me up for like a long time, because I didn't want to be that guy. Like, I didn't want to be the kind of guy who would be flaky or just change my mind. But at the same time, I had to recognize that I either cause you this pain now, or I cause you a lot more pain later.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
And I think this is the thing. Just, I'll be quick so you guys can carry on. Sorry.
No, sure.
In terms of what you were saying in terms of lockdown, like I said to Jonathan, you know, being in lockdown with your husband or wife will let you know whether you married the right person. This is a very intense.
It's too late. Too late.
Intense situation to be in. I spoke to a guy on EE because I had to like talk about my data, and the guy was just saying to me, "Yeah, I can't be at home with my wife. It's too much. I'm so glad that I can work because I can't do it." Like, and I'm just like, fair enough. He was like, "I've never had to spend this much time with her," and I was just like, fair enough. So, and he says, "Yeah, I knew I married the right person, but just being in lockdown and enjoying this time." Has made me like, babe, yeah, I'm in this.
Yeah,
it's so
keep it
good.
moving.
I don't feel annoyed. I just feel happy to be with you.
Lovely.
It's nice. There's a couple of things I want to pick up on. It's nice that you enjoy each other's company. I think we'll try and hit that in a little while. Let me see the time. And I there's two things I want to say, and I want to read a comment. I respect that there was space between breaking up and going into the next relationship, and that is real maturity. This is, I mean, you guys have got nuggets for days, trust me. That is a real, that's something I did actually.
That's self-control as well.
Yeah, that says a lot for who a man is and who a woman is, because you both did that. So I respect that. This comment says, this is why you need to make decisions on your own. People always have so much to say, but they don't know ultimately where God is leading you. You need to be strong enough to have your own mind. Respect, Nicole. Wow. Question. What have you discovered since being married? What revelations have taken place? What have you learned?
A whole lot. I don't even know where to start.
I got one interesting.
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. That there's no days off. There's no days off. So before Jonathan and I got together, he was the person that I dated for the longest anyway before marriage. And a roadblock that we hit after our honeymoon period and has just carried on into marriage. He said to me one time, like after the honeymoon period was done, he was just like, you need to try harder. And I was just like, what? And I was just kind of like, well, if our relationship isn't coming easy, maybe that's the sign. He was just like, no. He was like, go speak to your mum and ask her, do you need to be trying all the time? And I was just like, okay. When I spoke to my mum, and she was just like, yeah, you have to try every day. And you try it all the time. And this is someone who hadn't been in a long-term relationship. So I was just kind of like, I thought it's going to be easy, breezy, beautiful. No. And I think even dating, I had to learn that. But obviously, you've gone from dating and you're trying all the time, but then you're living in a space with each other. So because we lived in different cities, we're seeing each other a couple of days during the week. When you live together now, I'm just like, try all the time. And when I say try all the time, it means that sometimes I can get down or feel like, you know, I just don't want to talk today, or there's something on my head or whatever. I can't shut him out. I can't be like, do you know what? I'm having a tough day, so I don't want to be a wife today. Just don't speak to me. Come speak to me tomorrow. Like, those things can't happen. You have to be able to manage your own stuff, your work, your friendships, your body image, all of these stuff, and still have a husband and be present with him, for him, to him. And that's something that I continue to learn. And I'm just really grateful that I'm with someone who has always been patient as I've learned things.
Most of the time.
No, most of the time, you're very patient. I don't think you give yourself enough props for how patient you are. But yeah, to be patient, to kind of, with that whole actually learning that, no, I'm feeling down today. Yeah, I still need to go and make a conversation and be there and talk about what's going on with his day.
So you can't be single on the weekend then?
Girl, no.
On Friday night, kids in a handbag in the middle of the dark to Essex.
Nope.
No, I think for me, one thing I've learned, and I'm still learning it, and it's going to sound strange, I've learned that we're different. So obviously, before I got married, I recognized we were different. But I think especially when it comes to conflict, for a long time in the beginning, and it's only been changing recently, like I wanted my default to be her default. So for me, I kind of, if I get angry, I get angry, and then 5 minutes later I'm cool and I can just be friends again. I think Sophie takes a longer time to like process. So we could have a conflict and then have a conflict about the fact that it would take Sophie a while to be ready to talk again. And I'm like, no, that's all right. Like, we're good now. We've had that. Let's move on. Seize the day, all that kind of stuff. But so in that sense, that's been a really, really hard thing, because what I would do in the beginning is really get on her and kind of be like, why aren't you like this? Why are you making it worse? Why aren't you doing all these things? And so then in that sense, I have had to learn that it's okay if we're not talking straight away. Like, that doesn't mean she hates me. Well, she may be annoyed at me, but it doesn't mean she like hates me. It just means she's taking a bit more time, and I can carry on. And then when she's ready, I've also got to be ready. Because what would happen is...
So a question on what you're saying. When the quote, the scripture says, don't let the sun go down on your anger, was that like a kind of a pressure to resolve things probably before they were resolved for the morning game?
Well, no, because so I like understand my wife enough to know that sometimes the sun has to go down on your anger, and sometimes even for me, the sun goes down on your anger. So you can go to bed angry. It's just maybe the next morning, if I'm in a place, I need to do what I can to let her know that if she wants to talk, it's okay, and I'm going to be receptive. Now, I may try that, and she's not there yet, but I've also got to make sure that I don't take that personally.
Yeah.
So with the sun going down on your anger.
And I think one thing that I've had to learn in that as well is that when if there is a fight that is bad enough that it would stretch to overnight, I still have to interact with him anyway.
Yeah.
And that one was tough. I'm a stonewaller, so like in terms of conflict, I would just shut down, and I'm just thinking and regrouping and trying to get to a place where I'm ready to kind of talk about it. But Jonathan was just like, that is not helpful for our relationship. If you're angry about something that's happened or we need to discuss it, you still need to engage with me. We need to put a pin in that thing while you sort it out, but we can't be in the house and you're just not talking. It's not. He's like, it's not acceptable. So
it's not acceptable, but I'd also say it just creates more problems. So like for me, and again, I guess it's more my personality, it just takes so much effort to be angry and to maintain that whole thing of not talking to the person, of trying to spite them when you can. And then the problem is, well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about me.
Okay.
But I think then the problem becomes when you're finally reconciling, you're not even talking about the thing which was the original issue. You've got 5 or 6 other things now which have happened later because you guys still weren't communicating.
Yeah.
And like for me, I'm just like, what's the point? Like, there is no, like, if I'm annoyed at this, sometimes the best thing I can do is say sorry, then keep my mouth quiet. And then when everything's good, we will talk some more. But I don't want to be in the place where what I'm doing in the meantime is making the situation worse.
Yeah.
Let me ask you then. Let me ask you, Sophie. So what happens when you need the jar of honey to be open, or there's a massive spider in the corner, and you're doing the stuff? Are you asking?
I give it to my husband. He loves it. Like, honestly, he has led by example in our marriage. Like, when I've been angry and I can shut down and I just feel like I can't communicate, he will still be like, babe, what did you want for dinner? Like, I'm just gonna make up some food. Your plate's there. If you like, do you want to watch a film tonight? Like, this, that, and other. How's your day been? He leads by example and shows that I still have to act lovingly to you, even if I'm not feeling the most loving right now. He has led by example in that. So I will still ask him to kill the spider and to open the honey jar. And I think we've gotten to a place now, praise God, that when we are arguing, we try to just keep it about the issue and not take it into other things, so that, because what we've been finding recently is that sometimes we're arguing about something and then we have to carry on with our day because our work's calling, and then something bigger happens.
So
something happens outside and we can't afford to be like, I'm not communicating. What we've always been able to do is park that other issue and be like, we need to discuss this thing because it's right now. Something's wrong with somebody. One of our family members, like the other day, my sister-in-law called and she was just like, this situation's going on. I'm like, Jonathan, we need to talk about this now. This has happened to your sister. He's like, no problem. Come together and deal with it.
But then I guess the like point was before we weren't talking about it. And I think what like I've learned is the good thing about marriage, if you let it, everything is an opportunity for reconciliation or an opportunity to make the situation worse.
Yeah.
So what's the point in me using dinner or using something I have to try and get back at her? Like, I'm going to lose that in the end anyway. So if I've got the opportunity to reconcile, I will try to offer it. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. And then we will come back again and we'll keep trying. But I don't want to have those long conversations where we have to talk about the 10 things which went wrong after our argument. I'm
realizing that's long, man. It's just like, I don't want to talk about, for me, I'm just like, keep the issue, be polite, be civil, talk about the things we need to talk about. So then when I'm ready to talk about the elephant in the room, we can just talk about that without talking about how that impacted the whole day.
Yeah.
Somebody has just said, great advice just 2 years in.
Yeah.
Thank
you know, and somebody said in relation to something you said before, fully understood that best to make the right time to discuss the matter.
Yeah.
It's not all about just jumping on it and saying, well, because I think it's a mistake that's easily made where one partner is always ready to, this is a common thing, one partner is always ready to, let's solve this now, and the other person is not. You're going to mash up the camera.
I'm going to mash up the...
There's a fly in there, man, that's just giving us trouble, man.
Yeah, he's exactly the same. He hates flies.
Was it there? It's too late. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I clapped him already anyway, sorry. One partner is always ready to resolve things and the other partner might not be ready. And striking a medium, because there's something to learn on both sides.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Where I have to learn, because there will be times when I think I'm a bit crazy.
Good.
Am I good? No, I was thinking that. And I was thinking that there are times when I wanted to just deal with things straight away in the earlier days, and then I also, if I get that upset, that triggered, that I will, I want my time, and that's my thing now. I want my time.
You take your time. Take your time.
I take the time so that mistakes are not made.
And I don't want him to take the time.
What do you want?
I'm just like, it's all good now, isn't it? I can't take the time. I can't take the time. How
do you recover so quick and I'm there like still brewing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. We're all different. I just like you guys. You've seen the differences when we first came into marriage. I also even said it years ago in one of our videos. I thought we were exactly the same. I thought I married myself, so I thought this is perfect. Do you know what I mean? He is so like the far polar opposite to me, but it works. Yeah. It works. If he was the same as me, it would not work. You know, there would be certain things in life that wouldn't have been done. Certain risks wouldn't be taken. Certain conversations wouldn't be had. Certain flies wouldn't have been killed. Do you know what I mean? But it works that we're so different, and God knew what He was doing, because marrying yourself is never a good idea.
We've got a question for you. Someone has asked, Anis on the mic says, what is the best way to come to a happy medium, or does that depend on the dynamics at the time of the relationship? Please don't answer that yet. The best way to come to a happy medium, we're going to answer that in the next half.
It's all right, you got to do what you got to do.
He's good.
All right, let me ask this question. The best way, and this you're going to have to come back. You know why? Because we've got like 7 minutes left, and this is not going to be answered in 7 minutes. The best way to come to
a happy medium. Or does that depend on the dynamic at the time of the relationship? Man, you lot are getting this for free. Speaking of free, talk about the GoFundMe just before we go into the second half.
Thank you. This is teamwork in action.
This is exactly.
So we are raising funds, people. Thank you for your support. We are raising funds to help people who've either been abused, or young people who have been abused or are struggling with their mental health, to get therapy.
And also, anybody who comes on here, anybody who listens, if you feel like you need therapy, we all need therapy. So I wish we could all sign up for this. But if you feel like your therapy is something that you need and it's imminent, what we're trying to do with the last few posters that you've seen on our Instagram page is to ask you to fund somebody to get at least 5 sessions of therapy. We believe that if you're helping somebody out in this stage, that you pay it forward, it will come back, because we all need it. We all need a bunk up, you know, through life. Life is difficult at times, and sometimes it's good to talk to somebody who's not going to talk at you or place any heat or judgment on you. So we want to have that available to give to somebody who needs the therapy to be able to access it. It's
primarily for those who will struggle to afford it. But we also are developing a Patreon. We've nearly finished our Patreon page, where you can subscribe, and some of your funds will, if you choose, depending on what tier you choose, will go towards supporting specifically people who need therapy. We need your help. If you want to know more, please help. It's not for us, it's for them.
Yes.
Okay, let us know, direct message us. Yeah.
And moving on to the Patreon, what we're doing in the Patreon is giving people the opportunity to come and get some group therapy, or some couples therapy, or one-to-one therapy in a separate session than this, or to have something more interactive where you're not only talking in the chat, that you can talk to a licensed therapist or to a therapist who can give you advice, just to advance ourselves in life. Going into the second half, I will say that you missed a gem and a half last week with Naomi Osei. Naomi Osei's title of her talk was "I Didn't Believe in Myself."
Yeah.
And that gave us some gems that we use for our family from last week to now. And one of those which we want to impart to you is that we have started to write out affirmations for ourselves and for our children. And we've come up with 5 for the members of our family, which include: I am loved, I am strong, I am brave, I am consistent, I am confident, and I am successful. And after we do that, we have a little chart that talks about gratefulness, and we are grateful for the fact that Jesus Christ has saved our souls. We are grateful for the fact that our sins are forgiven. We are grateful for food and shelter. We are grateful for friends and family, and the little things like gravity. We are grateful, even though you don't believe in gravity. We are so grateful for the earth that turns. We are so grateful for simple things, and even to the fact that we are still well and safe. So we're grateful for those things. And after that, we follow the scripture of "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." And in 2 days, I said in 2 days,
it's made a difference.
It has made a difference.
I ain't gonna lie, it's made a difference.
So go back and hear that talk.
It's the latest video on our YouTube channel. Yeah. This is Marriage UK. Just before we thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. Just before we go into the second half, guys, I'm going to tell you the questions that we have for you.
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right. We want to know, what kind of partner do you envision yourself to be, and compare it to what you thought it was before marriage.
That's a tough one, Kurt.
The best thing about
Each other.
him and her, and the best way to come to a happy medium, depending on the dynamic from you guys. And then we've got a special little section for you. Oh, and what has God got to do with it? We have to squeeze this in. But guys, we're going to see you in the next half. Join us in literally 10 seconds.
We'll be back
as we begin the next
Thank
session.
you. Same with us, all of you people.
And Sophie and Jonathan, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
People have said, sorry, before you go, beautiful affirmations, humbling and empowering. I love you guys. That must be you guys, but we'll take it as well. A much needed commercial break. Somebody said, use Raid on the fly. You don't need to use Raid on the fly when you've got the classic black headscarf. You just give him a lash. As you can see, there is no fly in the building anymore. He is gone to glory. He's gone to glory. So we'll see him in the New Jerusalem, and we'll see you guys in the next half.
People are actually commenting so much. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We'll keep in touch. See you in a second.
See you guys soon.
All right. Sometimes I have to make sure my husband is behaving himself.
If you go,
so you get 2 tap. You have to give 2 tap.
Okay.
2 tap means top it. You get me?
No.
Hey, Pippa.
We are appreciating the time. It's been very insightful. It's been very insightful. Del, yes. I can just about see who's who on these.
Hey, Mona.
On these tiny icons. We could just about tell who's who. Welcome. Sarah Lee. Welcome.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you.
Milimo.
Right, we're waiting for them to come back. Kath, good to see you, mate. Thank you for... when I touch this thing, the finger always gets a little bit dodgy. Caroline, nice to see you guys. Thank you for coming back. We're just pinning what the conversation is. If you've just joined us in the second half, we're talking to Sophie and Jonathan. And they're 2 years into marriage, and we've got some gems already. Don't feel like a few years. The fly has been resurrected. The fly, he didn't die. Wait, he looked like he did. Well, he rose again, guys.
The thing is, he's actually coming in my face. I mean, I'm not having that at all, you know what I mean?
He rose on Tuesday.
Right, let's move through. So, thank you for joining us again. We survived. I think that first did. All right. So, question. Someone has asked a question. How do you resolve? Oh my gosh, bear with me. The best way to come to a happy medium. Does it depend on the dynamic or I guess the situation?
So I would say it depends on the situation. I would also say every relationship's different.
Yeah.
So it depends on the individuals. What's the happy medium for like one couple may not be the happy medium for like another. But I was thinking about it kind of like in the break. And I think it's also like maybe in the last 2 or 3 months, there's been stuff which have been frustrating me in terms of how we dealt with conflict. That I discovered some more stuff about Sophie, or we talked about how like she processed it. Nothing changed in the situation, but because I have a greater understanding of where she's at when she's thinking about it, I'm more comfortable now. So I think some stuff just comes as you get to know each other better and recognize what's going on with the other person. So that would be my first thing, but it definitely depends on the relationship.
I think for me as well, like I went into marriage believing that everything was going to be able to be worked out. And I think for me, like what that has actually helped, because for me, no argument is ever the end. Like, no argument is ever unresolvable. No situation is just like, I don't know what we're gonna do. In my head, I'm just like, eventually we're gonna have to find a way to this because I signed up forever. So
yes,
that's that one thing. But something too that really helped, I would probably say in the first year of marriage, was talking to my mum. I can't remember. There was a situation that came up, and it wasn't a situation. It was more something like, Jonathan, I don't like the way that there's something with your character that I feel like I have an issue with. Like, and those are the things that you see in marriage. You see those things that you don't see when you're dating. You see much more. And I was just kind of like, okay, how do I deal with this? And I remember speaking to my mum, and she said to me, you know, Sophie, you and Jonathan have both spent because I got married at 31. Jonathan was 30. And my mum was like, Jonathan has spent 30 years becoming the person he is. You have spent 31 years becoming the person that he is. If there is something you don't like about his character in terms of there's a way that he can constantly deal with something that you have an issue with, why do you think being married for a year,
6 months,
6 months is gonna solve it? He spent 30 years becoming that person. I spent 30 years with shutting down and not dealing with conflict and just waiting to come back to when I'm ready. So same way with Jonathan, that way he deals with that, that's not going to be solved overnight. And she was just like, not everything you can solve. Some things you're going to have to put a pin in, realize that this is going to probably take your marriage to deal with, and move on from it. And that was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was just like, oh my days, because I think before that, my thing was like, we need to solve every single thing now. Like, if we're not happy about something, we need to resolve it today or in the next week. We need to get to the problem of it, to the bottom of it. We need to sort it out.
Character stuff. You were on that for character stuff.
Yeah, everything, babe. I was just like, now we need to sort it. And I just had to really be aware of, like, there are things that I might be unhappy with that I'm just kind of like, if it's not affecting us now, then I'm just like, just put a pin in it and then come back to it at a later time. You're not going to be able to solve everything now. And I think for me, that's just really helped me into taking seriously the things that are serious in the moment. What needs to be solved right now? Like, what needs to be dealt with right now? And deal with that, and then be like, other things that I'm just kind of like, he might not like the way I deal with things. I'm like, babe, I'm going to work at it, but it's not going to happen right now. So I'm just going to go through a process, but I hear it, and I'm always willing to work on the thing that's going to make our marriage better, but it's not going to happen in the immediate.
That makes sense. As I said, when we've been having these conversations, it's not only that, I mean, we've been married nearly 19 years, but it's not that when we got married, we were mid-20s. It's not that Curtis is only dealing with 26 years of stuff when we first got married. He's actually dealing with now 45 years of stuff.
Yeah.
Because old stuff is coming up. The bags that I didn't unpack are at the door. Do you know what I mean? So we're still having, it's a lifelong process. We're still having to work through stuff. There's a lot of junk that like a block drain will just decide to just rear its head one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, we don't want to give anybody the illusion that 2 years in and you can finally just fix it. It's actually an ongoing process. And it's a process that you're willing to work through together, where you're like, you know what? This is the issue for me today. So fatherlessness could be the issue of the year. Or it has been over the issue of the next 3 years. Help me work through this, because while I breathe and while I still sit here, there will always be stuff to work through. There could be stuff that I've picked up post 26 coming out. I didn't have it before I came to the marriage, but it's just this kind of idea that, look, we are human, we are flawed. There's stuff that will come up. There's stuff that makes you that you're not gonna like. And there's stuff that we're going to have to work together to get rid of. And some stuff I'm going to fight to hold on to. And that is the making of, that's why I say it's the fastest personal development course I've ever been on.
Oh my
In
God.
fact, it's even more challenging at times, because the honest truth is that even though over the years I've learned that, for example, we need to, some baggage will have appeared that we didn't even know existed. which is probably the reason why there are certain things happening on her part. Even though I know that, my mind hasn't always been in a place to accept that. And so when I see things that I don't like, I've not always been in a mindset to care, which is now a reflection on me. So I'm on a journey of just not only dealing with my stuff. This is the reality of it all, guys, of not only dealing with my stuff, but also dealing with new stuff, and just having to be that shapeshifter in my mind to say, right, I'm managing me, I'm managing my past, I'm managing you, I'm managing your past. How am I going to do this? And that's some of the realities that you guys are talking about. It's like you have this vision of this is what it's supposed to be, and then the rug is always being pulled out from under our feet.
But it's a good rug because it's a rug that reveals. Curtis will always say, we've got to lift up the rug. Whatever rubbish is under there, we've got to clear it out. There's no point in keeping the rug down and we keep stepping on the mess because it's still there.
Yeah.
And so it's a safe environment. It should be. This is a safe space where you can unpack your bags. This should be the safe space where you can say, you know what, this is my issue, and this is who I am, and this is what I've got to deal with, and I just need some space to do that. I need to feel safe to do that, and I need not to feel judged when I'm doing it, but it is going to impact us.
So what was you going to say, Sophie?
I was going to say, like, I am more than happy to, like, lift the rug in our relationship. Like, there is no... I'm so excited to be in a marriage where there is no subject off limits. There is nothing that I can't talk about my life, about my journey, about Jonathan. If I'm not happy about something, I can lift it because I am intent for us to have the best marriage that we can have. And that does not come with not dealing with stuff as it comes up. It doesn't come with like, let's just kick the can, let's deal with that when it comes up. It's kind of like, no, because I'm intent on making my marriage the best it can be. And that's what my mum said to me. She said to me when I got married, she was like, whatever you want your marriage to be, it can be. She was like, if you see someone else, you're like, they have a lot of fun. I wish I had fun like them. She went, then make the fun. Your marriage is what you make it. And for me, I've just loved that concept that my marriage is always going to be what I want it to be if I'm willing to put in the effort. It's going to be the most romantic. It's going to be the most fun. It's going to be the most supportive. It's going to be the most kind. Like, we decide how that is going to be. And I think sometimes people go into marriage thinking that waits on the other side of it. The happiness waits on it and the support waits on it. And I'm like, no, you're becoming those people, and the grass is greener where you water it. That's the bottom line.
Well, when people say that the grass is greener when you water it, also the other side is astroturf. You have no idea. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you only have to just deal with your own stuff and work it out on your own pitch. Do you know what I mean? And then and you get on with it. You get on with it. There is always a caveat to this. If it's not a safe environment, meaning if there's any kind of abuse, whatever is categorized as abuse, there is about 6 definitions of what abuse is, then that's not the place to remain without help or therapy or assistance. We're not saying that, but we're saying if there are 2 people who are willing to work at something, that it does take work. It does take sweat, sometimes pain, and we have to acknowledge that and tell people the truth. Because I think when we were young and we saw marriages in church, and that was a long time ago for us, but when we saw marriages in church, people didn't look, whatever the definition of happy is, they didn't look like they were together in the first place. And that you know, now we're that age group and those people, we know when we used to be late for church and you have a big argument in the car, you shut the door and you say happy Sabbath, and the rest of the day is just smiles until you get in the car after AY and then it is on again. You get me? It's like there was such a pretense. The buttons were done up so tight that I think people were dying inside. Do you know what I mean? And so we have forums like this and conversations like this to say to people, no, there is a reality about marriage, and most of it is going uphill. It is a tough road, but it is a road which is paved with gold. Wherever you lay is how you walk on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got a side question. Jonathan, I know you're a minister. What would you say if someone said this conversation is not had enough.
Well, I would like 100% agree. I think it's so important. I think, well, there's so many issues, and I could talk about this all day, but this conversation definitely isn't had enough, because I think more and more people need to know that what happens in marriage needs to be shared. We need to create not only safe spaces in our marriage, but safe spaces in our churches, where it isn't a case of, oh, you guys are struggling, that makes me feel better about myself. But the truth is, everybody's struggling. Like, if people aren't struggling in their marriage, that's because they're not talking anymore. That's the only way you're gonna have peace and quiet, if you're not talking. Because,
can you just define the struggle? Because I don't want you to make it seem like it's unhappy.
It's not. It isn't that it's unhappy, but it's like when you just said, it's uphill and it takes effort. But when you put the effort in, there's also a reward for seeing, okay, I put the effort in, and you get that satisfaction. Like, living with somebody is a pleasure, but I guess for us, we want our marriage to get better every year, and I think it's something we realized right at the beginning. When you start, I don't think you can have a good marriage. I wouldn't even say now we have a good marriage. Hopefully, like 10 years down, like once you've built that kind of groundwork and you've learned to communicate, I feel like for us in our marriage now, we're still at the stage of getting to know each other, of working each other out, of finding out what works, what doesn't work, how we function together. Like, we were talking about it, I think last Sunday. I think I just made the comment that, we're actually a good team. Like, how we work together, we've kind of begun to like see this works for us. And so I think it's just about more openness in church, and it's about recognizing that it's okay not to be perfect. But the fact that we come in our Sabbath best, that's what messes it up in the first place. Because we come like we're perfect, so you've got no space not to be perfect.
And I think I've seen this so clearly when it comes to sex in marriage. So I was talking to Curtis on the phone about it, in terms of, I remember someone asked me to be on a panel talking about sex in marriage, and there was someone who had said to me, they had waited until, both of them had waited until they were married to have sex for the first time. And they were saying that the woman had said to me, Sophie, I thought orgasms were going to fall from the sky. But my husband would just know instinctively what I wanted, where I wanted to be touched, and all these things. And she was just like, it wasn't like that. We had thought because we had waited that God was going to extra bless us with these orgasms coming.
What, that he was going to give you the manual as well?
Exactly.
He doesn't.
Some fairy dust. Yay!
Exactly. She was like, that wasn't the case. And I think that's something that me and Jonathan were just really wanting to talk about, in terms of when people are talking about marriage and relationships and sex, that, we do a disservice when we don't talk to people about, you have to work on every part of your marriage.
Yeah.
There is no part in the bedroom, there is no part of your marriage that you are not going to work at. Your marriage is like anything else in life. Like, if it's worth having, it's worth working hard at.
Yeah.
And I enjoy my marriage. I want to make that very clear. Even though it's like we say uphill, I enjoy being married to Jonathan. I'm a better person for being married to him. I'm a better woman for being with him, 100%. But every element of our relationship takes work.
Yes.
It takes effort. And I have people who be like, oh, you're so lucky now you're married. You can just have sex whenever you want. You can do this whenever you want. I'm just kind of like, guys, it's like we work at everything. There's this conception that when you get married, you've crossed the finish line into a perfect relationship,
and that's it
for every area. I'm just like, every area continues with more intensity.
Yeah, I think, as you said that, especially about women and church and sex, it's like, I feel that people do think you cross that line and you're going to do nothing but have sex for the next 3-4 years till the children come. And it's like, you won't iron your garms, you won't have breakfast, you don't need to go to work. None of that. That's all you're doing. And people don't really talk about it. So I always tell the story of when I walked into the toilet to an elderly lady at church, and she said, you must cover with the linen. The angels are watching. And that just made me, thank God the lady was, not thank God she was losing her sight, but she couldn't see. So she couldn't see me busting up laughing, but she could definitely hear me. And it kind of, I think if I was younger, knowing who I was when I was younger, if I had picked that up and heard that in the toilet, I would have just been thinking, this can't be done if the angels are in the room. Do you know what I mean? But that was her experience and that was her view. And that was her teaching 2 generations down of what the priority was in the bedroom, was to make sure you're covered because the angels are watching. For you who didn't understand angels, it's angels are watching.
But interestingly, I remember before I was married, in fact, when I was engaged, I had a clear vision of how sex would be. And we always envision sex outside of a relationship. It's like a fabricated, completely fantasized version. It's like it's just gonna happen. And man, it's like building a sexual relationship outside of a relationship is really, what would we call that? It's never land.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm just going to completely agree that, like, I think, like, outside the church, so society, how sex isn't portrayed, the fact that sex isn't portrayed in the church, it kind of affects people's attitudes of it. And it isn't something, and the problem is, you go, even before you're married, you want to have sex. But like you said, you don't know who you're gonna end up having it with, or who you're going to be in that marriage relationship with to have it. And then once you're with somebody, like, it changes it. Like, you guys have to work on what your sex life looks like.
Yeah.
And I just think, for me, when we got married, I was a virgin, and I think, like, really and truly now, I don't even know how people cope emotionally having sex outside of marriage, because for me, marriage provides this safety where you're free to talk about everything. So we know we're together, we know we're going to be together, we can talk about what we need to talk about. But how do you express yourself fully when you're like, if I say this, they may be like, oh, I'm not down for this anymore, or I'm going to be off because I don't have to put up with this, or I don't have to go that deep with it. And I think, I guess, sex inside of marriage on some level forces you to be a lot less selfish.
Yeah.
Like it really does. It forces you to recognize that it's not just about you. So I can get all the pleasure I like, but if my wife isn't enjoying it, after a while we're going to stop having sex anyway, and I'm not getting any pleasure at all.
I would even say that's the case, babe, because like even though, like, Jonathan says he was a virgin when he got married, I wasn't a virgin, so I had some knowledge of what the act was going to be and all of that. But it's not even that I would say that if your wife isn't enjoying it, then it's going to stop eventually, because there are plenty of women who just lie down, take one for the country, and don't say anything. And I think for me, like, we spoke very early on, well, as early on as we could when we knew we was getting married ever, that we never wanted that. This place where I'm taking one for the team, because men, you're going to have a great time no matter what. You know, in my opinion,
depends who you are.
you're going to have a great time no matter what. For them, it's always a goal. Like, it's always a home run for men. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you can always see the finish line. Whereas women, we're a bit more complicated. I feel like women were a bit more complicated, and we made it on very clearly that we are in this together. Like, it's not going to be a thing where, like, it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm fine, so hope you are too. It's not going to be that. We're going to talk, and that's something that a friend told me. I think she might even be watching. I saw her earlier, but she was in a similar position to me in terms of she married someone who hadn't had any experience, and she had some. And I was like, how did it work? She was like, we talked about everything, and I was like, that doesn't sound easy. She went, it wasn't. And she was like,
it's not.
She was like, we had some very difficult conversations about that. Doesn't feel very good. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm sorry. Can you stop that, please? And I was just like. Oh.
So what is it about that you found a bit challenging? That notion.
Okay, I can answer that one easy. The only sex that we see on TV, in a successful relationship, is easy sex. Yeah. So the way that you know that somebody is compatible is because the sex is good. Do you know what I mean? So You'll see like a rom-com and she has a night with someone and the guy isn't very good and he's clumsy, and then they laugh about it with friends, and then it's like, oh gosh, what did I get into? But when she meets the perfect guy, then it's just like, it's sexy, they're up against the wall, it's just amazing, it flows, she's had the orgasm of her life, and that is the sign that this is the person for her.
Well, Sophie, you forgot, we talked about it, a bit of it last week. You forgot that the sheets stay white.
Yes.
You forgot that his breath don't stink, her breath don't stink. He gets up, he's got the perfect six-pack when he gets out of the bed.
Exactly.
They don't tell the truth.
It's all of this stuff. And then when my friend said to me, like, we talk about everything, you don't see that. You don't see people
Don't talk about anything.
We don't talk about it in church. We don't see it in the media. We don't see anyone saying, when you want, someone said fireworks. It's fireworks when it's like when you see it. But to have that conversation now in marriage, and that's why I'm so glad to be able to talk to other married couples. They're all just kind of like, you work at finding out what each other likes, and you work at that, and that's where it comes along. And the best sex is the one. Someone said the best sex is the one you shouldn't be having.
Hey,
don't use any face expression. Just keep your face still. Keep your face still.
No, illicit sex is
yes,
it's very deceptively.
Exactly. Well, it's definitely illicit sex, like the sex that you're trying not to have before you were married. I can say from experience, it's the one you want the most. And you know, then when you're married, you can have it all the time. I'm like, no, babe, I've had a stressful day today.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow morning, we're on. So like that illicitness of it is gone. But for me, it's just about those conversations. They're hard and they're awkward, but they're so necessary. And if anyone can say they have a wonderful sex life and they've never had to talk about how that's going to happen or how to make it work, or
wow, that's straight from heaven.
They're straight from heaven, and
yeah, they got a download straight from heaven. There is only one show I've seen do it well, and it's on Amazon. I think it's called Love Stories. So they go through a series of love stories, but these are based on real life stories that are written in the New York Times. And the last one I saw, I think the man cut his hand on a wine bottle, and so it was off. They had to call the ambulance. Do you know what I mean? And he had to go to hospital. He was just about to do this one night stand with this lady, and then it worked out even better where she stayed with him all night in the hospital. She took off the false lashes, the extensions. She took off everything and came with her ordinary self with the blood still on her dress for 2 days, and got to know him. And they didn't end up in bed together. But these are based on real life stories that they've made into something, on Amazon. But that's the closest I've seen. Other than that, I'm just like, how do you wake up in the morning and that breath still smells so sweet? After you just had takeaway, and I know you never brushed your teeth, you went straight to it.
Well, everyone falls asleep happy in each other's arms. It's just like,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't really do. I get pins and needles too easily. So it's not.
I get hot. He gets hot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, let's hold hands. Let's hold hands.
Yeah.
I
And then
was like,
the
I
hand
want a
just get.
full body hug. That's how I want
The hand just get limp.
This is it, and this is the difference between us. It's amazing. It is amazing. This actually leads me on to. All right.
Yeah.
This actually leads me on to the next question. Actually, that was so insightful, man. What kind of wife or husband did you envision yourself to be, and what are you becoming as a partner? It's an individual question. You're looking at how you saw you wanted to be, and what are you becoming? Do you get?
Coops is killing me. Sorry, the fly has raised again.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry. I'm gonna try. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So I'll go first. I think for me, in a sense, I didn't have a lot of expectations. I just wanted to, I guess, be there as a support for my wife. And it almost kind of goes on to I think what maybe a further question. Like, I wanted to get with someone who I could do something amazing with God for. Just in the sense of.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So, I think with like Sophie, I just find her as a person so interesting. Just really interesting to talk to, really creative. I love spending time with her. And I just wanted, like, I almost got obsessed about this should be the person for me, to the point that so I didn't have any expectations of what it would be like, because life happens, like different things happen. So even before we got together, we were going to have to talk about where we were going to live, how it was going to work, how we were going to relate to the church, like there's all these things which are up in the air. So for me, I guess a really big thing was trying to talk about everything. I think what I've discovered as I've got married is that I probably, I need to think about her even more than I did before. I need to consider her opinion. There is lots that I've got to learn. There are ways in which I have to grow. And I guess for me, it isn't even about what kind of partner I want it to be. I think the really important question is, what kind of partner does Sophie need me to be?
That's very true, baby.
Because I'm not by myself.
Yeah.
And I could think I'm the greatest partner, and if it's not working for Sophie, nothing's happening in this relationship.
Yeah, I've got an example of that.
Go on.
The other day, like love languages. And Jonathan's number one love language is like physical touch.
Yeah.
So if he's upset or stressed, a hug is gonna make him feel better. Like a nice hold, like talking to him, stroking him, whatever, hugging, all of that. Love, like physical touch is my last love language. But when I'm upset or I'm stressed about something, Jonathan's go-to is, let me go and give her a hug and hold her. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is not making me feel better.
I feel better.
He feels better.
It's rough.
I'm just like, I don't feel more loved. I don't feel more supported. And that the idea of what might work for him sometimes doesn't work for me. And the idea of what do they actually need. And like, for me, I'm just like, my love language number one is like words of affirmation. So I'm just like, we've had to talk, like when I'm feeling down, just talking to me about it or saying something encouraging makes me feel loved and supported in that moment. So, and I think that's why everyone who is married will tell you it's so much about a hardcore fast track lesson in not being selfish, because then it's not about what works for you. Well, this works for me. It's just like, well, if it doesn't work for me, where do we go from here? We have to find something that works for both, where both people's needs are met to a reasonable standard, because Jonathan can't meet all my needs. I can't meet all my needs. God is there. I have friends. There are other people I can talk to about things and go to for things. So within a reasonable expectation of him as my husband, it's about what does he need and how can I be the best for that.
I like that. I do like that. The fact that you have said that there are parts of you that actually other people can fulfill. It doesn't lessen his role as a husband. It's just like, actually, I need a mum right now. Wow. Or God can fulfill this. Do you know what I mean? And that he doesn't feel less for that.
But I think that's actually really important. So although it wasn't about what kind of husband, I knew I wanted a wife who was going to be independent. Like, I wanted to get married to somebody who didn't need me. Just because I didn't live under that pressure. Like, I don't want to be the one who you can, like, it's just too much. But I want someone who wants me. And if they want me, we can work with it. If you need me, like, even thinking about it makes me stressed.
I remember one time in an argument, I was just like, I don't need you. He was just like, I know. That's why I married you.
Oh.
He was just like, because I wanted you to be independent. It killed the argument. I was just like,
that's martial arts, man. That is martial arts.
I was just like, oh, my heart.
You said it.
That's a move, man. That's a move. But I understand what you mean, because there is, I would encourage my girls as well to have a level of independence. Not to be like, I can do it on my own, I don't need no man, because when those shopping bags are heavy or when my heart is heavy, I need you to carry it with me. I'm talking about just little things like make sure you can drive, make sure you can open a honey jar when I'm not home. I don't know, just there's things where I think, no, you can do that for yourself.
Don't lean too hard.
Don't lean too hard. You know what I mean? Work together as a team, but also have some skills of your own. Don't be like, well, he's going to work and I'll just stay home. And then one day he broke his foot and there's no money coming into the yard. It's like, no, you have to work equally as a team.
Yeah, it was a really big thing. So one thing my mum did, which I was really grateful for, and she had her own way of saying it, but she taught us to cook. So my mum taught us to cook. She taught us to wash. Like, I could do everything for myself, and especially with the cooking, she was like, you never want to be in a situation where you and your wife have an argument. She's angry with you. She serves what she wants, and you can't do anything about it. So for me, I enjoy cooking. I'm like happy to do it. Technically, even now, I'll do the majority of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do all of it because I don't want to do all of it. But it's just that thing of it's about wanting to be together, not necessarily needing each other to survive. Because I think it's just a better relationship. Because then we're actually both contributing something rather than one person being, without you, I can do nothing.
Through conviction.
Yeah,
I like that. As opposed to weakness.
Yeah.
I have a question. We've got 2.5 questions for you. What's the best thing about him or her?
I can go.
You go first.
He's just the most supportive man. He's so supportive in every single area of my life. He's always in my corner, always. And I feel a bit emotional saying it. Like, it makes me emotional because something that I've always rated highly in a relationship was loyalty. And not blind, stupid loyalty. Not someone who's gonna go along with whatever. Like, that person has a problem. Yeah, we're gonna beef them together, babe. We're in it. Not someone like that, but someone who is always just like, we're in this together. And he rides harder for my dreams sometimes than I do. In those days when I just feel like I'm just not good enough to do it. I don't feel like I have enough experience. I don't feel like my education. He's just like, he is there just like speaking like, yes, you can. I believe it. I know it. I see this in you. And I really love the support and just the companionship. Like, I can't tell you guys how much I love talking to him. Honestly, I love talking to him all the time about everything and anything, however small. I always want to know what his opinion is. And that for me was probably the number one thing that I wanted from a guy, was someone who was intelligent, who I could always just mentally talk to and spar with. And I think for me, those are just the best things. And he's patient, and he's extremely kind, and he's extremely calm. And he always sees the best in people. He always gives people the benefit of the doubt. I'm not like that. He is, and I love that the more time you spend with your partner, God willing, you start to pick up some of their good characteristics. Being together starts to be like, I'm just find myself sometimes being a bit calmer than I thought I could possibly be. So yeah, those are the things that I love the most.
So I think for me, I love Sophie's mind. Like, I love the way she thinks. I love how she talks about things. I love how passionate she gets. And it just always, like, I just find it so attractive. And I love the fact that I can talk to her about anything and everything. She is always going to have an opinion. Sometimes she'll have too much of an opinion, but she's always willing to like share it and talk about it. And I just love the fact that I can go anywhere with her and be anywhere with her. And she'll, like, on one level, she's just so comfortable in like who she is and in what she thinks. And I really, really appreciate that. So Sophie is not the person who is going to go along with the crowd. Like, whatever it is, Sophie is always going to do her. If everyone's saying left and she thinks it's right, she's going right. And she's not going to apologize for it because that's what she believes in. So I think for me, that's just the big thing that talking to her expands my world. And like pushes me and challenges me and forces me to like think in different ways. And like and I think that's actually also why I married her, even being a pastor, because I think sometimes as a pastor, and I'll say it on this, I feel like sometimes pastors fall into the trap of marrying who they believe would make a good pastor's wife, or who everybody else looks at and goes, "That's the pastor's wife."
Say it again, please, bruv. Say it again loud so that the future generations can hear you.
I wasn't some people's first choice for Jonathan at all.
But I think in that, like, I back my judgment, and I have married the best person for me as a, because what like she is going to do with the way she thinks is push me to where I also want to go. And I think that's what I needed in somebody who wasn't just going to take what the church said or do what the church did or say, okay, because they've said it, that's what I'm going to do. Sophie will think for herself. And the more you get to know her, because we just have this stupid thing of how you look reflects your commitment to God in the Adventist church. And
yes.
It's not true. It isn't true in any way. Like, I do not know a person who is more committed than Sophie. And it's just a pleasure. So I guess the main thing, I love her creativity. Like, even this room, you can't see it in all of its glory, but it's like her background for the ethnically speaking stuff. And she'll put so much effort into that. Yeah, just everything about her. Like, everything about her.
That is so beautiful. I wanted to ask on the back of that, and it's not taken away from it, but I know, because we've grown up in the church ourselves, conventionally, maybe nowadays it works, but you two do not look like the pastor and the pastor's wife. But I think more as a woman, I'm thinking because I'm slotting you, Sophie, back in the 80s, 70s and 80s to how pastors' wives used to be. Only tell the children's story, just a tiny little bit of powder, just a tiny little bit. Yeah. And that was talc and powder. Yeah. And a big brim hat. And they didn't say much, but God bless you, thank you. And that was it. So how, is there a pressure? Well, obviously there's not, because you're not a conformist. But how is it fitting into or being the pastor's wife? Are you just Sophie, or are you the pastor's wife? Or both?
I think I am the pastor's wife, but now I'm Sophie, the pastor's wife.
Oh.
I'm Sophie, the pastor's wife. And I think that I'm really fortunate that Jonathan, when he met me, he fell for me as I am, and not how he thought he could mold me into to make me amenable to the church.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think that when we did our counseling, like, we were able to, our marital counseling, we were also able to speak to a pastor's wife, and she was very clear on, be who you are. That's who Jonathan fell for, and the church is just going to have to live with it.
Yes.
And that was a senior pastor's wife who just gave me the even more confidence and courage to go in there, into his churches, into our churches now, I would say, and just be myself. And I think definitely, like, there are members who are a bit more conservative and who are very much how you thought about, the pastor's wife who, her makeup is natural. You can't even tell she's wearing any, if she has any on. And she doesn't wear jewelry, of course. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't wear jeans to church.
Definitely not.
Yeah, for me, I was just kind of like, they're either going to love me for me or they're going to hate me for me. And either way, I'm fine with that. As long as it's me. As long as it's me.
What I would say, though, is, to be perfectly honest, we're also really lucky in the churches we have.
Yeah.
That's been a massive help, because I think in the future we may have some struggles if we go somewhere else.
More conservative churches.
Yeah, in a more conservative church. But we'll have to deal with those then. And I would also have to admit that even in the, like, I've had to grow in my confidence with that as well. Because I think in the past, there were times when we had long conversations about certain things. And on some level, I was like, it's easier if you don't do this. Or if you're not. But I think being married to, like, Sophie is really reaffirmed for me, and it's a separate topic. Just how much we focus on the wrong things in church. Yeah. Like, how much we get caught up in, do they wear makeup? Do they have jewelry? Like, really and truly, that doesn't matter. Like, it really does not matter. Yeah. And the real things which make people Christian and which allow people to grow is what kind of, like, what's their character like? Like, they can wear no makeup, no jewelry, and still be terrible. And that's something we've got to begin to reckon with. That, again, it's not just about making that, like, it's not just about being acceptable on the outside. We've got to become to be real with who we are and what we do, and open ourselves up so that we can actually grow and become the people we need to be.
That is beautiful. I'm recognizing the time now, and I wanted to end on just giving you a little bit of a statement. I need you to finish it. I would love you guys to expand as much as you can, but because of time, we're going to go as quick as we can. So if I move you on to the next one, hold it in your heart and share it with each other later.
It's important to be concise because it makes it more poignant. But if you do expand, because we've got we've got about 15 minutes, which will go by just like that.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be deep. But let's go. Yeah.
I have learned
that I'm not always right.
I have learned that it's not always about me.
I will
always give 100%.
I will be true to my vows, even on the days when I don't want to.
Wow. I forgive.
I forgive myself so I can forgive you.
I have to forgive over and over and over and over. I will expand on that really quickly. People think that in marriage, like one of the things I've learned in marriage is that you're constantly forgiving each other. There's constantly things that you might hurt, or little things that might wear away at trust or whatever. And you have to be like, you have to forgive and move on. It's a continual relationship of forgiveness.
Beautiful. I need.
I need you by my side.
I need someone who loves Christ.
I feel.
I feel really blessed. Right
I feel really grateful to have Jonathan.
You know, man.
Open it up a little bit.
Which one? Both of them, or?
I feel for both of you.
Yeah. So I just feel. I feel really blessed to be in this marriage. To be married to Sophie. It didn't go how I would think it was going to go when I first saw her and got together. But yeah, there was no place I would rather be. There was no one that I would rather be with. That like I'm not looking back and going, oh man, I missed out on one there. Like where I am is where I need to be, and I just feel blessed.
I feel really grateful because if I'm being honest, if I look back to, I'm 33 now, if I look back to about 6-7 years ago, Jonathan isn't the person who I'd have picked for myself. In Jonathan, I see the hand of God. I see God choosing something that I wouldn't have chosen for myself and choosing better. And I'm really grateful that God really showed me and took the time to be patient with me when I thought something else would have been what I wanted, to tell me, no, this is the best that I have for you. Literally, Sophie, this is the best I had for you. And I'm really grateful that God did that. And I'm grateful that he gave me enough humility to actually allow it to happen. Because I hadn't been with someone who was so good and so kind. And when you haven't been with somebody like that before, I remember saying to a friend, I'm going to break up with him. He's just too nice. And my friend laughed at me and she was just like, just go with it. Stick a little bit longer. It's okay. Just stick a bit longer. And in that, I had to realize that, I was used to the drama and the highs and the lows. And when it was calm and he was consistent and loving and kind, I didn't know how to deal with that. So I'm really grateful that God allowed me to stick at it, because I was going to mess up something that I didn't realize was so good.
Oh, that got me a minute. I hope
that we can do this forever and that we go from strength to strength.
I guess if I'm being really honest, I hope that times come that are not too difficult. And I know I can't hope that, because every person who I know, everyone who's married, there always seems to be some situation that was just, wow. And I'm really fearful of that. So I guess I hope that God is laying the foundation, so whenever that situation comes, whatever it is, that it brings us closer together. Yeah.
He will. If he started the good work in you, he will see it to completion. And we stand here, we sit here, fighting the blasted fly for the past 2 hours.
That's life.
Which is difficult. I've gone through very, very difficult times. But it's the making of us. And I think if we even undid a thread of some of that difficulty, we would have been worse off. So it is with bated breath that I say, thank you, Lord. Man, it was tough. Man, it's been tough. It's been tough, but it's the making of us.
It's an encouragement. I think that there's, this is actually an encouragement. There's been times where I'm like, God, that's enough now. Because like when you just want to take a breath and then it's like next thing, 3, 4 things at the same time happening. And now when I look back, I would have just run away from God if he had shown me back then. But now when I look back, it's like, wow, we are strong because. And even times it doesn't even feel strong, but I know it's strong.
Yeah.
It's like,
even when it's weak, it's strong.
It's like you said to God, bless me, and it's like, well, okay, it's gonna hurt though.
Yeah.
Give me patience.
Give me patience. Okay, well, it's gonna hurt though. Let me love my neighbor. He's gonna have to hurt you. And do you say you want to punch me in the face?
Yeah. Okay. I'm working it out.
But
not you, the neighbor.
Yeah, and I think that the encouragement is that, like you said, guys, if you stick at it, it will be okay. It's like I'm listening to you guys, and in my opinion, you are qualified to teach the masses, because I think that your setup, your foundations, and stuff, the things that you actually live in,
and that you've grasped already.
Yeah, it's like, guys, I just want you to know, we don't know how couples are going to be on our show. We might talk beforehand, but we don't know. But there was 10 times more than what we had spoken about in terms of value. So we thank God for your lives, man.
Yeah.
And your testimony. And I just wish we had more time. And we've got a few minutes, but I just don't want to start anything I can't finish. But it's been, I guess we can actually touch on something, actually. It's just the last question. What has God got to do with this in terms of who is God on this journey? In this union. Yeah.
So I can go for everything, like absolutely everything. Everything good that happened, everything we've got, like he is just vital to it. And we are just better when we're focused on him together and separately, but when we recognize that he's working with us through it. Because without him, as good as it is, we probably wouldn't have made it. Like, I think it's that serious that like, there have been times I know when both of us haven't had to talk to God separately about what's going on in the relationship. But like, I would say, yeah, literally, what my dad said to me was the work of God.
Wow.
And what Sophie felt impressed to do was the work of God. Because it just was not happening. If anybody had told me that I would be in a relationship, decide to leave that relationship because someone else had said something to me, I'd be like, no, that's not, like, I have too much respect for God to do that. I know that's the kind of thing you don't do. And I think it was probably really, really important for us right at the beginning. Well, no, really, really important for me right at the beginning to see that sometimes God acts in ways you don't expect. And sometimes God does things that you're not looking for or you're not thinking is going to happen. And so, yeah, God, for us, God is everything.
Yeah, and I would probably say, I'm gonna keep it real short. Like, God is, I don't even realize how much God is doing. I don't give God enough credit. I don't speak to him enough about my marriage. I don't pray enough as I should. I want to be really honest, because I think people think that, you know, you're married to a pastor, or because you're Christians, or because I say God is everything, then that means that I know I pray and fast on my marriage one day every week. I don't. And God is still faithful. And God, I believe God is still a lover of marriages. He still wants it to work out, and he is constantly bringing us together. Sometimes it's him putting me through a difficult situation. It's just like, this situation is to remind you that you need to pray a bit more this week, because you've been kind of dropping off, and this is the only way you're going to get through that situation and still be the wife that you need to be to the man that I've given to you. So God is just even beyond what we can even comprehend, and he wants our marriage to work as he wants every marriage to work, more than we want it to work. And if you allow yourself to be receptive to that and just grow in that as well, like, I believe, like, if God is doing this much with how much I give to him, then I can't even imagine how much he's going to give the more we grow with him and in our marriage.
Yeah, that is. Let it sit.
May God continue to enlarge your coasts. Learned a lot tonight from you guys. That's BMC.
That's so
having at least a mustard seed is key. And it's on the mic. I'm just reading some of the comments. Hand clap. Sorry. Oh,
love this. So
beautiful.
True.
100%, 110%. Amen, amen. Lovely words of affirmation. I think people are touched, bro, by some of the things you said about your wife there. So insightful. People have learned. So powerful. Thanks for sharing sharing and for your honesty.
I just wanted to say as well, thank you so much for having us on here.
Thank you.
Because I think something very early on that we realized about ourselves and our marriage is that some parts of our marriage are just for us, but there's parts of our marriage that I believe, and I'm glad that Jonathan feels the same, are to share with the world, because we feel so passionate about marriage that I'm just like, I believe God has given it to us to be able to talk about the reality of it. So one, people don't go in blind, and two, that they know that they're not alone in it.
And you don't get discouraged when you go through certain things, and that you recognize that, like, it's normal and it's okay. And we serve a God who is just gracious to us even in our marriages, like, who will speak to your wife when you're acting the fool, or speak to your husband. It's just so important. So, like, I hope we've not come across like everything is amazing and perfect. I don't think we have been. But even but it's good. It's good. And yeah, we're just down for the work.
Yeah, 100%.
Just before we pray for you, right? I just want to say, Jonathan, because I know you're sitting slightly in front of your wife, right? Just very slightly. You haven't noticed how much she's been beaming behind you at some of the things you're saying. So she's got this smile that is just, radiant, man. So you are the man. So don't be, I just want to encourage you, don't have children tonight before time. Like, if it's not in this year's plan.
Let COVID finish first. Let COVID finish.
Tonight's the night, man. I'm telling you.
But we might practice.
This is it.
That's it.
At least practice, and I think tonight's your night. But thank you so much. We're gonna pray for you, man, and pray for everyone else. So
before we pray, can we just ask if for your handles, please? I know, Sophie, you do the movie reviews and stuff like that. Just share your handles with us, and Pastor as well. If you can just share your handles, I'd be grateful.
So yeah, I can say I've not got one, so I'm not officially on any social media at the moment. So it's just Sophie.
Okay.
But
he's on my social.
Yeah,
like he's like literally, he loves to scroll through my Instagram. So I am Sophie Hannah. Everything you need to find me is on my Instagram. I am Sophie Hannah. One word. Sophie spelled has Sophie, Hannah Hannah. So I am Sophie Hannah. You find everything.
Okay, beautiful.
Subscribe to their channel, guys. And here we go, man. We're just going to thank God for life, for your lives, for your testimony, for your struggle, for your uphill, for your rain, for your clouds, and for your sunshine, and for reaping what you are sowing and sowing. Lord, they are on everybody here. We just appreciate what you've done through them, and that they didn't give up and they didn't turn the corners that everybody expected them to, but Lord, they made their own decisions. And Lord, you have blessed their fidelity to you. You have increased their patience and their love in reality. And Lord, you have given them mouth to speak. And Lord, everything they've said is in the context of you. You will get the glory. You have got the glory. And on that basis, Lord, let their work never stop. We just thank you for the grace that they are emulating from you to them and from them to each other. We have seen it, Lord. And if we never believed in God before today, now we understand what you're doing, Lord. Thank you for this ministry in advance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank
you.
Thank you, guys. This has been real. The people have spoken, and I've said, continue. Thanks for sharing. I don't know why they're laughing out loud. I think not for the prayer. I think that was for something earlier.
Oh, the babies.
The babies. But yeah, we.
Is that right? No,
the amens are coming late.
What's going to happen is we're going to say, guys, do you want to join us for part 2? And they go, we can't do it right now. She's not well. She's got morning sickness, you know. So.
But we'll have you lot back. We'll definitely have you back. As you're, we want to say bye to you. Stay with us, everybody else. No, you can't. We've got 29 seconds. But you've seen the posters and you've seen everything else, and you've seen that we need you to go fund somebody who needs counselling. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. We'll see you tomorrow. Anthony Fuller tomorrow.
Andrew Fuller tomorrow.
How to be a husband.
All right.
With 10 seconds remaining. We love you guys. Thank you for this. God bless you. Take care. Thank you.